Today is day 54 on the wait list. Dialysis is going good. This last couple weeks they reduced my prednisone a little bit to 7.5 milligrams, so therefore my cheeks go down a little bit. Couple more milligrams and I should look almost normal again after about a year and a half, which is a nice feeling. Last time we talked about my second lupus flare, which happened right after I got married. And shortly after that, we had a little surprise. I became pregnant. You're usually supposed to wait a year or so after, heavy medications to let your body cleanse itself. And we were going to do that. And there were other plans in mind for us. And so I became pregnant, and I was high risk due to my lupus, of course, so they did extra ultrasounds, and about 18 weeks they found something wrong with the baby's heart, and so they sent me down to Salt Lake from Twin Falls, Idaho, and to do some extra ultrasounds that were more in-depth, color-coded, that type of thing. So I went down to Salt Lake and they proceeded with an extensive ultrasound, and they told me that the baby definitely had a heart defect and suggested that I abort. Now, I was 19 at the time, and so I was very young, and but still had firm beliefs in certain things, and abortion was one of them. And my husband and I, asked the risks and for the child and myself, and they said that I would be fine with the birth, of course not including my lupus, that was a different risk, and that they weren't sure the exact type of problem with the child, and that there are many different surgeries and procedures that babies and children can go through to fix heart defects. And of course, our very strong knowledge that we shouldn't abort, our belief. And so we went ahead and told the doctor, who was pretty adamant. We'd never seen this doctor, and she came in with these results and was adamant about this, and we really didn't feel right about it. She's like, we can do it today since you're in Utah. You can abort up to 20 weeks in Utah. And both of us said, no, we're going to go ahead with this. And we did. So they monitored the baby very carefully, and when I went into labor in September, they hauled me down to Salt Lake in an ambulance, and 48 hours later, it was quite a long labor, she was born. And no complications, great birth. My lupus did fine, and she was a healthy little 5-pound, 11-ounce girl, other than this heart defect, which after the birth they wheeled her right over to Primary Children's, which is connected to University of Utah, which is great, and diagnosed her with truncus arteriosus. So she stayed in the hospital about a week, about 5 days, and then they let me take her home. They said, take her home, she'll be fine for a while, let her, build strength, get a little bigger, and we'll schedule a surgery for her to go ahead and fix this problem. So what truncus arteriosus is your two main artery and vein are connected at the top of the heart, and a valve is missing. And so what happens is the blood comes in and out, and it mixes, which isn't good in the long run, of course. And so what the procedure is that they add a valve to and separate those two. It's open heart. It's high risk, and children have survived from it. And uh, there there's other operations that have to be performed, as the child grows, but it can happen. So we met with the surgeon, and he's a great guy. Um, you can tell that he's done a lot of heart surgeries on these teeny little walnut-sized hearts. So she had her surgery, and everything went well during the surgery. Great surgery. But that night, she her heart stopped. She coded, and I believe it was Halloween, actually, on Halloween day, and the surgeon came in from Halloween with his family and came in to get her back to life. And what they had to do was open her back up and actually massage her heart with his hand, and to do CPR. The hearts are so little and teeny that you have to just like rub them like this to do CPR. And she came back. She was good. And that happened one more time about 5 days later, but they didn't have to open her up that time. They just were able to resuscitate her. And she was in the hospital for, how long was she in the hospital? Quite a while, but not like an extremely long amount of time. I mean, not like months. It was more weeks. And then we got to take her home. And it was great. We did great with her. I had been a CNA in the past, a certified nurse's assistant, and so I kind of knew what I was doing, taking care of her in that sense. If there was something serious, of course we would take her in to the hospital. But she did great. She had her checkups, and we had her first birthday, and she was scheduled for her next surgery. We were getting prepped for that, ready for that. And when she was about 16 months old, I could tell that she wasn't doing great. And at one of her appointments, they said she was starting to have pulmonary hypertension, and that would influence if she could have her next surgery. So we were trying to deal with that, and she got a little cold, a flu, a cold, and her body just couldn't handle it. And one Sunday morning, we took her to the Twin Falls Hospital because she wasn't quite breathing right, and I could tell. But there weren't any other signs. It wasn't critical. We didn't call the ambulance. We took her in, but within about 2 hours after we got to the hospital, she was gone. And it's quite an interesting experience watching your child die. It's not very fun. So that was part of our marriage experience, other than this lupus and kidney troubles. We're being blessed and tested. And my daughter's name was Isabelle, and she changed the lives of many people, even in her short time here. And I later found out, not knowing this when we named her. We named her after the girl named Isabelle on the movie Fools Rush In. I love that name when I heard it. But we found out later, after she passed, that the name Isabelle means consecrated to God. And it was very fitting. So during that time, I was very blessed with health, because as you can imagine, there was a little bit of stress, and for me, stress makes my lupus a little more active. Some say that can happen, some say it can't. I've heard doctors say both ways, But for me, I really believe that stress influences the activity of my lupus. And we were very blessed during that time to have my health be good so I could care for her. So that was just a little tidbit into my story. Next time I'll move on to, unfortunately, another flare. So, but we're doing good, and life is full of great experiences that we can either laugh or cry from. And I don't know where I heard that saying, but it was a long time ago, and it's so true, because life goes on, and you keep going and deal with what hand you're given. And so, thanks for watching. We'll talk again.